Welcome back. For Star Wars Day 2026, I figured I'd take a break from the historical minis and head to a galaxy far, far away. Today we're going to be playing Star Wars Shatterpoint by Atomic Mass Games, and if any of you are interested in a tutorial for that system, let me know in the comments and I'll get to it. But enough of that, let's take a closer look at the strike teams we'll be playing, as well as the objectives for today. First squad in Strike Team Blue has Count Dooku as the primary. Secondary is Super Tactical Droid Kraken, and the supporting unit is these two Magna Guard here. The second squad, we've got Rebel Pathfinders in support, Ezra Bridger in the secondary slot, and Ahsoka Tano, the Fulcrum variant, specifically, as the primary. Now, for Strike Team Red, our first squad, Ki-Adi-Mundi in the primary, Shaak Ti in the secondary, and these little Jedi Padawans in support. Second squad, we have Phil's clones in support, Jedi Knight Nadar Veb in secondary, and primary, Jedi Master Kit Fisto. We're using the Shifting Priorities mission, so for round 1 our active objectives are the central one to either side, and one below each of those. Dooku is drawn first, but he has a tactical ability that allows the Magna Guard to move when he does. He goes and claims his nearest objective. Next, Kit Fisto goes, and he makes a mad dash for the middle one to claim that for Red Team. Next to go are the Rebel Pathfinders, who, using an ability of theirs, get to move after climbing that ladder all the way up there. They're going to claim this highest objective for Blue Team. Next, they're going to take aim at Jedi Master Kit Fisto, who is well within range. First, they generate 3 expertise and 3 successes. Those expertise turning into 1 crit and another success. Kit Fisto rolls amazingly on defense with that expertise turning into 2 blocks for 6 blocks. After all said and done, only 2 damage onto the Jedi Master. Next, Phil's clones go, and they make easy work of claiming this objective for Red player. Ahsoka is activated next, and she does some amazing acrobatics to get all the way to the center here to fight Fisto. Fisto again rolls amazingly on defense, and not much gets through, but crucially, Ahsoka pushes him twice away from the objective, flipping control from red to blue. Red player draws a Shatterpoint card and decides to reactivate the clones. They move up to claim that unclaimed objective on the right side, and support Kit. They fire on Ahsoka. Not much damage gets through, but they push her away from the central objective, allowing Kit to use his supporting fire ability to move up and reclaim that objective for Red player. 1 blue player activation later, Red player decides to move the Jedi Padawans up the ladder to fight the Rebel Pathfinders for that objective up there on the gantry. They manage to push one of them back with the Force, thus changing the model count in their favor, 2-1, and flipping blue to red. Kraken is drawn next. He uses his tactical network to allow the Magna Guard to move on his turn and move to the central objective, outnumbering Kit on that objective and flipping it from red to blue. Next, Kraken's going to take the attack action and fire into the Jedi Master, producing 1 damage and a pin. On Red player's turn, we draw Shaak Ti. Her tactical ability lets Nadar Veb move to the center and contest that objective with Kit. Shaak Ti can't quite make it to the center, but we'll try to get as close as we can. We get up to that gantry, and we get a hunger token. Next up is Count Dooku, who climbs all the way up on the gantry with initial plans to fire Force Lightning into Jedi Master Kit Fisto. However, he soon changes his mind and switches targets from Fisto to Shaak Ti. Shaak Ti rolls abysmally on defense and results in 3 damage, a disarm, and a strain. A round later, the Magna Guard tried to fight Kit Fisto, but he manages to block everything. This is what the score looks like at the end of that round. The melee in the middle continues, but it swings into Red player's favor when Shaak Ti arrives on the scene and outnumbers Blue player's models. Count Dooku decides to join the fray, and he turns his sights on Nadar Veb, who had previously taken a beating from the Magna Guards. Good rolls for Dooku and poor defense for Nadar means he ends up wounded and can no longer contest that central point. Unfortunately, even after wounding Nadar, blue player doesn't have a chance of winning round 1, and red player takes it. Going into round 2, blue player selects which card will be used. We turn off the center objective and turn on these 3, which each could be worth up to 2 points depending on the roll of a die. Kit Fisto moves across the board in an attempt to engage Ezra Bridger on that far objective, but Count Dooku has other plans. Dooku's Force Lightning manages to push Kit Fisto off of the gantry and into range of Ezra Bridger, who makes a move and engages the Jedi Master. In a surprising outcome, Ezra manages to get some damage through and wound Kit Fisto. That, coupled with a lucky priority objective roll, increases blue player's lead. Red player activates Phil's clones, and they fire on the Sith Lord still up on the gantry. They manage to get 1 measly damage through. With a Shatterpoint card, Kit Fisto's back in action, and he's looking to pay back Ezra. He doesn't get that much damage through, only 2. But he does manage to push Ezra away from the objective twice. The follow-up allowing him to move back in range and flip from blue to red. Red has eaten into blue's lead and managing to get the score marker back on 0. However, Ezra is Shatterpointed, and he breaks ties, flipping that point back in blue player's favor. Kit also taking 6 damage and a disarm in the exchange. Leaving Kit behind, Ezra climbs the ladder to cut off the clones. Scoring the priority objective moves the marker well into blue's territory, and now red cannot win this round. So he decides to do as much damage as possible, using Shock T to put 4 damage onto Kraken. Blue player wins round 2. Round 3, red player gets to select the objective card. He reactivates the center, this one closest to him, and that one down there at the bottom near Ahsoka. Ki-Adi-Mundi finally does something to affect the battle. Wanting to fight Dooku, but unable to because of the Magna Guard's bodyguard ability, he puts 5 more damage onto them and wounds them. Using a force power, he jumps down to the center objective to help guard it with Shock T. Scoring that as a priority objective helps red player jump out into an early lead. After several more activations, it's Dooku's turn again. He goes into the middle to have more models than red player, flipping center objective to him. He sets his sights on Shock T, who is dangerously close to being wounded. Sith Lightning does its job again, and Jedi Master Shock T is wounded. Ki-Adi-Mundi is Shatterpointed, and he tries to fight Dooku, not damaging him too much. Dooku is then Shatterpointed, who comes around the edge here to fight Nadar. Unfortunately, the rest of round 3 is lost, so I'm just going to have to give you a short recap instead. The rest of the round was a hard time for Shock T. She was wounded a second time, and after her final activation, she was defeated and removed from the game. The Magna Guards were the culprit, but they were also wounded a second time by Ki-Adi-Mundi. Nadar and Dooku did fight. It was fun, but not much happened. Kraken was also wounded by the Padawans, of all things. When the dust had settled, blue player emerged victorious. Control over those priority objectives proving to be the deciding factor.